The secret to overcoming failure to achieve success, wealth, and perfect happiness. Persevering through storms, secrets of people who never give up, great success stories. The journey of perseverance and the will to turn failure into a stepping stone to success. Failure isn't the end. It's actually the beginning of something amazing. In this video, we'll debunk the myths surrounding failure and show you how it can be a powerful catalyst for growth, innovation, and ultimately, a more fulfilling life. Get ready to change your perspective on failure forever. Welcome to the Stoic Today YouTube. Please take a moment of your precious time and generosity to click the subscribe button, comment. Thank you very much. Please listen to the next great content. Ladies and gentlemen, in life and career, failure is not only an inevitable part, but also an important stepping stone to success. This article shares real stories about the perseverance and determination to overcome difficulties of successful individuals, emphasizing that as long as you do not give up and continue to try, one success can make thousands of previous failures clear, no matter how many times you stumble to succeed. Just one time. Right, one time only, and you will have what you need to live comfortably. Just one success can make one failure fall into oblivion. But if you do it right, you will have the best job no matter how many days go by. And you don't get enough sleep because you have to pursue your passion fiercely, no matter how many times you try and get close to what you want, and something happens that makes it all fall apart, and you have to go back to the beginning. All of that doesn't matter, because no one will notice. Come and understand all the ups and downs you've been through. In 1974, a writer crumpled up 3 pages of paper because he considered it trash. Life was hard. He worked with a makeshift desk in the laundry room inside a trailer. Because he was so broke, he had to borrow a typewriter from his wife, who was working shifts at a Donner's to write a book. The money partly paid the bills for his family of 4, who were in dire straits. After that day, his wife pulled the pages out of the trash and encouraged him to keep writing when he was ready to stop for him. Writing was over. It was time to grow up and focus on his real work. But his wife insisted, "I find it noisy. Keep going." So he did. When he finished the book, he sent it to a list of publishers. The response was exactly what he predicted. 30 letters in a row came in saying it was a good story, but it wasn't right for us. Suddenly, one day, everything changed. He got a call from his wife at work because they couldn't afford a phone at home. He knew this call was definitely important. His wife told him the book had been picked up by a small publisher and they paid him $2,500. It wasn't work money, but at least he could buy a grocery store for his family to save them from the brink of poverty. The first newsletter of the book was very successful, so they sold it to a great paperback publisher. The book went on to sell more. 1 million manuscripts were. He considered Jack initially became the beginning of a career that paved the way for over 60 other books to make the list of world bestsellers. What book is it called? Carrie. And our poor author is Stephen King, the world-famous horror master. Carrie is not King's first.
Of course, there is nothing wrong with striving for perfection, is admirable, but the mistake we make is trying to achieve it. On the first try, we want to reduce the possibility of failure by navigating a right path for ourselves. Of course, there will be failures. Should have, and failures should not have. Any smart adventurer should know to achieve what you want in life, career, or anything. You just need to start a small action. To start a chain reaction of engagement and success. Failure is a useful tool in gathering feedback. It's like the stops in the gutter at the bowling alley at your 7th birthday party. You roll the ball down the lane and it bounces back and forth until it eventually bounces over some of the pins. Each time you roll the ball, you hit the obstacles less and less. Eventually, you don't hit them at all. The feedback you get from the port will help you perfect your goal, and soon you can strike without any help anyway. We all fear failure, but we experience it often, and normally, and then appreciate it after it's over. Think the last time you wanted a new job. Did you send your resume to just one company and stopped, or did you send more? You could have sent 100, but you still only got one job. 99 times fail and 1 time succeed. But if you do it right, you will get the best job. Look at your love. If you are the type who wants to get married but has never been in a relationship, you have encountered a 100% failure rate in this. But does that stop you from moving on and trying again? Of course not. Before I met my husband, I went through many rejections and failed relationships, but each of those failures gave me the information I desperately needed to figure out who the right person for me would be. This is the case for everyone who has been in a relationship. Rude, most of the relationships in your life are failures. Then one day you succeed, and those failures don't matter anymore. The only question is, do you have the things needed to be different? There is never perfection in everything you do, but strive for. It still has value, and that's also the only way to know what perfection is not. You find it by going through small but not catastrophic failures over and over and over again. Go back and forth. Stephen King knew this. He wrote millions of words before he got paid for any of them. If you've ever looked for a job or been in a relationship, you know this. There are a lot of no's that turn into yeses, and you only need one success to make all the previous failures go away. Here's another interesting one to Ruth. The man who ended his baseball career in 1935 with an MLB record of 714 home runs, and also holds the record for most hits. It's not fair to call a relationship a failure just because it doesn't work. Every failed relationship comes with its own successes that improve your life in some way. You get my point, right? Tai Fumkub, because of fish. Fat American once said, "No matter how many times you fail, we only need to be right once in our lives," according to the 61-year-old billionaire. People only focus on the big successes of his, but rarely mention the early stumbles he encountered. Mark Cuban is an American businessman and investor. He is the owner of the NBA basketball team Dallas Marks, co-owner of 1929 Entertainment and chairman of AS-TRA Vin. Not only that, he is also one of the main sharks in the famous reality show series Seach Thar, according to Forbes, billionaire Mar. Cuban currently owns a fortune worth 4.1 billion USD before having the successful career. As today, Mark Cubb has experienced countless failures. However, if asked about past mistakes, because this 61-year-old billionaire said that it is not a big deal. It does not matter how many times you go up and down the mountain, as long as you do it right once. People will tell you how lucky you are. Huban shared on the program Paramit. Last week, people only focused on his great successes, such as selling his first child, Microsoft Lotion S for Composite, for $6 million in 1990, or 5 years later. Sold Yahoo for $5.7 billion. But they rarely mentioned the early struggles of the billionaire after graduating from Indiana University in 1981, because this billionaire quit or was fired 3 times in a row by the age of 22. Ban returned home to Texas City, Pennsylvania, and went to work at Malin Mann. However, according to an article published on Fox in 2013, he quit because he didn't like the CEO of this bank. He then worked for a franchise store about T of Jix repair in 2000, but also failed. The third failure was when he moved to Texas and started a business selling porcelain powder until he became a salesman at the computer company Do Business Software. Urban continued to be fired for closing a deal without the CEO's consent. However, this was the motivation for him to found the company. His own computer systems company called Michael Solution, when he lived in Dallas Tubin, lived with 6 other people in a 3-bedroom apartment, but he had to sleep on the floor and was often the last one home because he was struggling to make ends meet, so he had to cut up his credit card. No one asked me about the status of my job at Meron Bank or Sonic in 2000, or when I started selling porcelain, they didn't ask me why I was fired because of having a software business. But they liked to ask about me starting my own company. No one ever asked me about when I built Microsoft, or how I counted the days I had to go on business trips, hoping that I would last longer with this job, and become a tool to confide in my heart through each page. Book. However, According to this billionaire, the most important thing is that you have to have a success. It doesn't matter how many times you stumble to be successful, you just have to be right once, one time only, and you will have what you need to live comfortably, no matter how much the day goes by and you don't get enough sleep because you have to pursue your passion so fiercely, no matter how many times you try and get close to what you want, and something happens that makes... Here are 5 more extraordinary success stories that prove failure is not the end, it's the beginning of transformation. 1. Oprah Winfrey. Fired from her first television job and told she was unfit for television, Oprah turned trauma and rejection into one of the most powerful personal brands in media history. Her talk show went on to run for 25 years, and she became a billionaire philanthropist and cultural icon. 2. Howard Schultz. Born in a housing project in Brooklyn, he grew up in poverty. Inspired to bring European-style coffee shops to America, he was turned down by over 200 investors before building Starbucks into a global empire. 3. Colonel Harlan Sanders. At 65, after being rejected over 1,000 times while trying to license his fried chicken recipe, he founded KFC and turned it into one of the most recognizable fast food chains in the world.
4. J.K. Rowling. A single mother living on welfare, she wrote Harry Potter in cafes while battling depression. Rejected by 12 publishers, her perseverance paid off when one finally said yes, launching a multi-billion-dollar franchise that inspired generations. 5. Elon Musk. From being bullied in childhood to being ousted from PayPal and nearly bankrupt with Tesla and SpaceX, Musk never gave up. His relentless pursuit of innovation redefined electric vehicles, space travel, and modern entrepreneurship. 6. Oprah Winfrey. Born into poverty in rural Mississippi and abused as a child, Oprah was once told she was unfit for television, but she refused to let her pain become her identity. Through raw determination and unshakable vision, she became one of the most powerful media figures in the world, proving that pain can become your power. 7. Howard Schultz. Raised in a housing project in Brooklyn, Howard watched his father struggle to support the family. As a young man, he discovered a small coffee shop in Seattle and dreamed of creating something bigger. With over 200 investor rejections, he still persisted and transformed Starbucks into a global empire. From poverty to billionaire, Schultz's journey shows that belief in your vision is more powerful than any obstacle. 8. Damon John. Founder of FUBU and star of Shark Tank, Damon began sewing clothes in his mother's house in Queens while working full-time at Red Lobster. With no formal business training, he turned a $40 investment into a fashion brand that earned over $6 billion in global sales. His story proves that hustle, creativity, and grit can defy all odds 7 without privilege or connections. These stories remind us that setbacks are not the end, they're the beginning of something far greater. They show us that from the deepest struggle can come the highest rise if you refuse to quit. Thank you for listening, and if these journeys stirred something inside you, don't let that fire die out. Subscribe to Stoic today right now for more powerful content that fuels your mindset and dreams. Listen to this message again and again until belief replaces doubt, discipline defeats distraction, and your path to wealth, success, and lasting happiness becomes inevitable. Your breakthrough is waiting. Let's walk this journey together.